All right, we are going to go on the record here. This is file number 221805FY. It's titled People versus Ryan James Swartz. That's you, sir?
That's correct.
And we've met, but I want to identify you for the record. Because of the circumstances we discussed last time, your attorney, Mr. David Moore, is here remotely. And that was with your consent and mine. Deborah Davis is here at the courthouse. She is also remote. And Trooper Limbrecht is also here at the courthouse, and he's in the Zoom room. The complaining witness, Jenni Akers, is here in the courtroom with us. I was very concerned about her circumstance. I'm glad she's here. We're going to address more of that. There's a bench warrant for her contempt for failing to honor a subpoena. We're going to have to address that at some point, but she is here. The allegation in this case, Mr. Swartz, and let me pull this up. Is that on or about August 22nd in Flowerfield Township out on Cranberry Lake Road, that you did make an assault upon Jenni Akers by strangulation or suffocation. That is a felony punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $5,000. Count 2 is you made an assault upon her with an assault rifle, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or inflict great bodily harm. That is a felony punishable by up to 4 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $2,000. The third count is domestic assault or domestic violence, alleging that you made an assault upon Jenni Akers. That's a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. This is the time and date for a preliminary examination. We talked about this last time. The preliminary examination is a hearing to attempt to determine whether there's probable cause to believe the crime was committed, probable cause that he did it. He won't be, and you won't be found guilty or not guilty at this proceeding. It is simply a probable cause proceeding to see if there's enough evidence to remove the matter to the circuit court for further proceedings, including a trial. And I'm losing my voice. I apologize. Ms. Davis, are the people ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Davis, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, the people will call Trooper Andrew Liebrecht.
Trooper, would you please raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have a seat. Would you state your name and spell your first and last name for us?
My name is Andrew Liebrecht. My first name is spelled A-N-D-R-E-W. My last name is spelled L-I-B-B-R-E-C-H-T.
All right, Ms. Davis.
Thank you. Trooper Liebrecht, you work for the Michigan State Police as a trooper, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you on duty for the Michigan State Police on August 22nd, 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, were you called to an incident at 11672 Cranberry Lake Road in Marcellus?
Yes, I was, ma'am.
And is that located in St. Joseph County?
Yes, it is.
What was your understanding of why you were called to that address?
We were dispatched to a female that had disconnected from a 911 line. Sounded like there was a male yelling in the background of the phone. And was threatening the female. It sounded like a physical altercation. And at one point, the female at the end of the second 911 call stated that there was a gun involved.
So how long did it take you to respond to this incident?
For me, it was probably approximately 10 minutes from whenever I got dispatched the call.
Where did you go first?
I went directly to the residence.
And what did you find when you got to that residence?
Nobody was at the residence. Me and one of the deputies from St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office had to search the residence. We were unable to find anybody, but there were family pets at the home.
At
Say
what
that
point?
again. I didn't hear what you said. You searched the resident. You said there were family pets at the home?
Correct. There was, I believe, 3 dogs.
Inside?
Outside. There's a doggy door at one of the doors, and I think they came out.
Did you then clear the residence to see if there were any occupants?
Yes, we did, ma'am.
After that, what happened?
I was notified that our victim, Jenni Akers, was found down the road near the intersection of Mount Zion Road and Bent Road. She was out with one of the deputies.
Approximately how far is that location from the house?
Approximately half mile to 3/4 mile, I believe.
Did you go and meet with that complaining witness, Ms. Akers?
Yes, I did.
Describe to me her demeanor when you got to her.
She was very emotional. She was crying, and she was on the phone with somebody I did not know at the time. She seemed very distressed by the situation that had just occurred.
Do you know how close in time to the 911 call that it was that you came upon Ms. Akers?
I believe it was approximately 40 to 45 minutes around that time frame.
Were you wearing a body camera?
Yes, I was.
And did you activate that body camera during this investigation?
Yes, I did.
And did you provide a copy of that body camera to the prosecutor's office?
Yes, I did.
And is it a true and accurate representation of what you observed that day? Has it been altered in any way?
No, it is not, ma'am. It is a true representation of what occurred.
Your Honor, I'd ask to, as a People's Exhibit 1, play a portion of the body-worn camera of Trooper Liebrecht from August 22nd, 2022.
Your Honor, I would object. I'd say this is hearsay. Number one, we have the complaining witness in the courtroom here today. She's present. She can testify as to what happened. Also, there was a 40 to 45-minute delay, so I don't believe that that qualifies as an excited utterance.
Deborah, what's your thought?
Your Honor, under the court rules regarding domestic violence situations, it was close in time. She was still under the stress of the event. According to the trooper, she was still upset, crying. She had apparently walked from the residence about half a mile, and I believe that it fits under the exceptions available for us to use. It is the best evidence of what happened.
What rule are you citing?
Your Honor, under MRE 8032, for an excited utterance, there would need to be a startling event, and the resulting statement of the declarant must be made while under the excitement of that event that is caused. And I believe that the information provided by the trooper has established that.
All right, that's the traditional hearsay exception under MRE 8032. You also mentioned the domestic violence exception.
Yes,
Are-
I'm looking for that. The old-fashioned book here.
Ms. Davis, it's MCL 768.27C.
Those are the sections.
I'm sorry, 27C3.
I haven't had
768.27C and then 3. And if that is the case, Your Honor, my argument would be we're not at trial, we're at prelim. Along with no notice has been provided.
Yeah, that requires notice. This didn't just sneak up and bite us in the ankle. I've been waiting to hear what their intention was.
Your Honor, that we've made it clear that we were going forward and using the body cam at every proceeding that we have attempted to have with this case.
Twenty-seven, 768, 27 A and B are domestic violence statutes. 768, 27B, if the prosecuting attorney B2 intends to offer evidence under this section, the prosecuting attorney shall disclose the evidence, including the statements of all witnesses or a summary of the substance of any testimony to the defendant, not less than 15 days before the scheduled date of trial, which isn't always possible on a prelim, or at a later time is allowed by the court for good cause shown. But the plaintiff is arguing just plain old 803.2 excited utterance. We've learned that there was an incident. I don't yet know what it is. It's sort of a chicken and the egg sort of thing. I may need to hear the body camera to see how excited she is, and perhaps a 911 tape. But there was a call. The officer got there as fast as he could. 10 minutes to Cranberry Lake is pretty good from anywhere. Then they had to locate the victim, and within a very short time of that, the officer was talking to her, and she indicated she was distraught. 803.2, the traditional excited utterance hearsay exception, states, statement relating to a startling event or condition made while the declarant was under the stress of excitement caused by the event or condition. In this case, the allegation is he attempted to strangle her and threaten her with a gun. And this was the real first officer interview. We don't know what the other officer said, the deputy that stopped her, but for purposes of preliminary examination under the excited utterance exception to hearsay, I will allow this evidence. I'm not going to rely on 767, 28 or 27, 768.27, excuse me, let me get back to it. There may be an issue regarding notice. Obviously, she had indicated they were going to attempt to produce this evidence. We tried to have this prelim on 2 previous occasions, but were unsuccessful. At any rate, for purposes of preliminary examination, I find this is an excited utterance. I will overrule the objection. The evidence may be introduced.
Thank you, Your Honor. Trooper Liebert, can you see the still image here?
Yes, I can, ma'am.
And is this your body cam that you were wearing on August 22nd, 2022?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
All right. And we're starting, for the record, we're starting at 35:56 into the body camera.
I'm on Mount Zion.
Take her car.
The
Huh? Somebody take her car.
I have to have the logo. Just tell him I will. Right, well, let's hope they come. I doubt that they will. Ryan's probably on his way to you.
Let me get some information from now. What's your first name?
Jenny
J-E,
and
Jennifer?
No.
J-E-N-N-I. What's your middle name?
Lee.
L-E. What's your last name?
Aker, Akers,
What's your birthday?
and 1190.
Okay. So what happened today? What exactly happened? I know there's,
We've been having problems back in. He woke up, he got mad about something we talked about 2 fucking weeks ago. Called me a cunt, a bitch, a whore, told me that I had to get out and I wouldn't leave because I was trying to find a bra, shoes. He's got our 3-year-old son. And I tried to get our son and he started choking me in the driveway. That he'd fucking kill me. That they weren't my kids anymore.
okay.
And said that if I tried to come there, if I didn't get out of the driveway, he was gonna shoot me.
Did you have the gun on him?
He's got a 308 assault rifle that he was gonna shoot me with. He's already put it to my head a couple times.
Today?
Not today.
Okay.
Prior incidences, he tried to chop my head off with a battle axe.
Okay. Did he have the rifle on him?
Yeah.
He threatened you? Where did he have it slung?
He had it in the back of the truck, in the back seat of that big truck is what he was driving when he decided to pretend like he was gonna leave and then pull back in. So
Okay.
he put my stuff in the yard and dumped gas.
I didn't see anything on fire or see any burn marks, so.
He's got a few guns. Some are mine. Which guns he's carrying, but he doesn't not.
Okay. Do you think he still has the rifle with him?
He probably left out of the truck because that's my
I
gun.
didn't see it, but what gun would he have on him?
Probably a 350.
Hang on. Okay. Oh, did he do anything besides choke you? Did he hit you?
Just shoved me down the driveway.
He what?
He just was shoving me down the driveway. When I tried to get it, he started punching at it and he fucking grabbed me by the hair of my head and slammed it into the look out of his truck. So I got out.
So he punched you in the head?
Well, he grabbed me by the hair through the window and ripped my head to the door.
Okay, was he in the truck?
No, he was
He was outside? Okay, were you in the truck?
Yeah, I tried to lock myself in, but I didn't have keys. And
I'm sorry. So where were you at during this?
I jumped in the little truck in the way, locked the door.
So you were in the little truck?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he pulled, how did you get out of the truck?
Backed away from it and told me that if I didn't get out of the driveway, he was gonna start shooting me. So I just started.
Sorry, hang on 1 second for me. Sorry, what do you say?
Before you clear, you want to know if you want to know the weapons.
Yeah. Hey, for a minute, come down here. I'll see if we can secure the weapons. Okay. So you got in a little truck and then you were still yelling at you, reached and grabbed your hair, pulled you through. And how did you get out, you said?
Then he just leave me the fuck alone. And he backed up and across the driveway. So I got out. Shoes at me. So I started to head down the driveway, grab my shoes.
Okay. At what point did you call 911?
I called while he still holding my hair and started yanking it.
Okay, so you were in the truck whenever you started calling?
I called and he told me that he'd opened fire. Please, say who I was.
Okay. Okay. So you started walking down the driveway and then what did you do?
He just started throwing shoes at me and yelling. Started dumping gas on it.
Okay. Started dumping gas on it. Did he try and light it on fire? Or did he just?
I don't know. I just ran. I just ran.
Okay.
So that I could talk to somebody on the phone on 911.
Where did you go?
And I just,
You ran to him or the, okay. So you walked down here and then, okay.
I don't know where he went. I never see our kids again.
And where's she at?
She's at my mother-in-law's in Athens.
And where's that at? 3010 West Drive?
I think that's what it
Is it right on the corner of West Drive and Athens Road? Okay.
apartment complex.
You know what apartment it is? Number? Or what her name is?
And right up the stairs, it's the very first apartment on the left when you go up the
Go upstairs. Okay.
Her name's Mary. She tries not to side with me or her son, but obviously she's gonna side with her son.
Okay. Hang on.
That's how it goes.
Hang on 1 second for me. Stay back.
Trooper Liebrecht, is that a true and accurate representation of your first interview with Ms. Akers on the date of the incident?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
And did you have further interactions with her on that date?
I stayed with her for the rest of the incident until I dropped her off at her friend's house.
At any point during the time you were with her, did she indicate that something had happened different than what she had told you initially?
No, ma'am.
And how was her demeanor in the time that you spent with her?
Well, she was obviously distraught during the first interview and interaction. As I spent more time with her, she began to calm down into, I guess, a normal emotional state.
Did you take her back to the Cranberry Lake Road residence?
Yes, I did.
And did you go through that residence with her to look for firearms?
Yes, I did.
What can you tell me about any firearms that were at that residence?
There was a pistol located on the dresser to the bedroom, and then Ms. Akers opened up the gun safe and was able to tell me that there were several firearms missing that he took. I believe in her words, them all, saying that he took all of his firearms.
Did she seem knowledgeable about firearms?
At least the ones that she owned. She knew which ones were hers.
And was there ammunition for the firearms that were there?
I do not recall, but I believe so.
Did you have contact with Ryan Swartz on August 22nd, 2022?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see him on that date?
I believe that I passed him en route to the residence. He was traveling northbound on that road in a smaller pickup truck as I was heading to the scene.
At that point, did you know who that was?
No, I did not.
Did you see any injuries on Ms. Akers?
Yes, I did.
And describe those for me.
I know she had an abrasion or scraping along her right hand, as well as her elbow. And it looked like there was dirt on both her butt and her knees, indicating that she was down on the ground. I don't recall all of her injuries. If I could look at my report to just verify what injuries were there.
Your Honor, may he refresh his memory with the report that he has?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so after reviewing the report, were there any other injuries?
Yes, there was. And I'd like to make a correction. It wasn't her right hand, it was her left hand that was bleeding. And she did have it was a light red mark on the left side of her neck. And then she had bleeding on her knees as well.
I don't believe I have any further questions at this time for the trooper.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Trooper, Ms. Akers was not put under oath when you talked to her that day, correct?
Correct, sir.
Did you ever have a chance to speak with Mr. Swartz to get his side of the story?
No, I did not, sir.
Do you know if anyone from Michigan State Police or the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department spoke with him before he was arrested?
No, sir, we were unable to locate him on the day of the incident.
Okay,
we
are you?
also had-
All right, thank you. Sir, you're familiar with firearms, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know what a difference? Do you know what assault rifle is?
Yes, sir.
All right. So an assault rifle is one that has typically a higher capacity magazine, and it's a mid-range rifle, correct?
Yes, sir. That's.
Right. Now, a 308 is a bolt-action hunting rifle, isn't it?
I'm not familiar with that, sir.
Have you ever seen a 308?
I believe I have. I'm familiar with some firearms, not all of them.
Was the 308 that you saw a bolt action hunting rifle?
I did not see it through 308.
No, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, the one that I had seen previously. I believe so.
Do you believe that it was a bolt action hunting rifle?
I believe so.
Did you ever find any firearms with Mr. Swartz?
Not at the time, sir.
And in reviewing of the video, is it true that Ms. Akers denied that he pointed the gun at her?
Yes, it is, sir.
Did she ever say that day that he had pointed the weapon at her?
Not that day, sir.
Have you re-interviewed Ms. Akers since that day?
No, I have not, sir.
Do you know if anyone from law enforcement, as far as the Michigan State Police or the Sheriff's Department has?
Nobody has interviewed her.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Trooper. Now, why don't you come back in the courtroom? All right, Deborah, who's your next witness?
Your Honor, the people will call Jenni Akers.
Come right up here. It should be
Around here. On the opening right there on the right side.
Good afternoon. I'd like you to face me and raise your right hand. You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a seat. We heard you state and spell your name, so I won't make you do that again. Would you state your name,
Jenni Akers.
Ms. Davis?
Thank you. Ms. Akers, on August 22nd, 2022, were you residing at 11672 Cranberry Lake Road in Marcellus?
Yes.
And who lived there with you at the time?
Myself, Ryan, and our 2 children.
And when you say Ryan, is that Ryan Swartz?
Yes.
And is Ryan in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you describe what he's wearing and point him out for the record, please?
He's wearing a jail outfit, cuffs, and combed hair.
May the record reflect that she has identified the defendant.
It may.
Ms. Akers, do you have children together with Mr. Swartz?
Yes, 2.
And did you call 911 on August 22nd, 2022?
Yes.
Did you call more than once?
I don't recall. I thought I only called once, and then they called me back because we don't get service there.
While you were on the phone with 911, were you and Ryan having an argument?
No, when I was on the phone with them, I was already down the driveway.
And was Ryan within hearing distance of the 911 operator?
No, I was at the bottom of the driveway headed to leave the house, and he was standing up on the porch.
And what was he
or
saying?
the porch vicinity. I don't know, ma'am. I don't recall. I was listening to the operator on the phone
Where was your child?
inside, but our daughter was at my mother-in-law's house.
Let's nail this down. What's your daughter's name?
Cadence,
Cadence.
Kaydence.
That wasn't even close. And how old is she?
She just turned 12, December 14th.
And she was in Athens.
Yes.
And your son?
George,
How old is he?
he's 3.
And he was in the house?
Yes, he was inside.
Was anybody else in the house?
No, sir. We stepped outside because we don't like to argue in front of our children as much as possible.
Was he awake?
I believe he was sleeping at the time, but I'm not 100%. I don't know.
So he was in his room?
Correct.
All right, Deborah, go ahead.
Why did you call 911 that day?
I called because Ryan said that he was going to take the kids, and I went and see him again, and I got scared, and I wanted to get the children into my physical custody.
At some point, did you leave that residence on foot that day?
Yes, yes.
And where did you go?
I started to walk towards town, so to diffuse the situation.
Did you try to use the vehicle first?
No, no, none of those vehicles are mine, so. My
Have you ever-
mother-in-law actually had my car, so she was supposed to, I was trying to get a hold of her to bring my car to me. None of those vehicles are mine.
Have you
my
ever-
husband-
Have you ever driven the vehicles that were in the driveway?
On occasion,
Okay. And how far from town is it if you were walking?
I would assume, I honestly couldn't tell you, maybe 6 miles, 5 miles, maybe, I'm not 100%. Probably
Do you
the same as it would driving anything.
Do you typically walk to town?
Yeah, I have a couple times. My daughter and I, we like to get out and about, walk, we pick up pop bottles, we pick up flowers.
And on the 22nd, on your walk, did you come across a St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department deputy?
Yes,
And did you stay with that deputy until Trooper Andrew Liebrecht came to talk to you?
Yes,
You saw the body cam of Trooper Liebrecht that was just played, correct?
yes, it did.
Was that you in the video?
Yes, it was.
And were you describing to the trooper incidents that had occurred with Ryan Swartz?
I was describing what I decided to make up in my head, thinking that whatever I told him would get my children into my custody.
Your Honor, I would ask that the court advise the witness of her Fifth Amendment rights based on her testimony that's coming.
All right, there are some issues that are coming up. One is you're under oath and anything you say here is subject to perjury. Second, what you're talking about now is filing a false police report regarding felony, which is a felony. And so you would have a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself, and they're not at this point granting you a false police report. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you wish to take the Fifth Amendment, not answer questions about that, you can do that. However, if you wish to give this version of facts, I guess you also can do that. You're not being given immunity, so I don't have to appoint counsel for you. But there is a concern that these statements, if they are in fact false, could be the basis for criminal charges. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. I lost Ms. Davis momentarily. All right.
Sorry, Your
I'm
Honor.
back.
My Zoom
Uh,
froze. It ended with that we were not granting immunity at this time.
And I advised her that she can take the Fifth Amendment if she feels this would be implicating her in a criminal charge. And she stated that she understood. And I will not be offended if you do ask her. The Fifth Amendment is your right under the United States Constitution to not provide testimony against yourself or evidence that would intend to incriminate you. And for most purposes, you can't be compelled as a witness to give incriminating evidence against yourself. All right, let's go to our next question and see where this takes us.
Jenny, do you or Ryan have a 308 gun?
I believe I do, yes.
And did you have it on August 22nd, 2022?
It was, I don't recall. I didn't have anything in my possession. But
And
within the house, probably in the house, yeah.
Do you remember going through the gun safe with the trooper after you had that initial conversation with the trooper?
I recall the trooper asking me if I could go in and check, and I told him, yes, I could run in and check. And then I ran in and checked, yes, and they come up behind me. Yes, I recall that.
And isn't it true that there were guns that were missing out of the gun safe?
No, I don't know. They were there. They seen them there.
So you don't
In
recall?
it wasn't in the safe. You're correct. I'm sorry. It wasn't in the safe. There was one on top of the safe and one on the dresser. So no, I guess it wouldn't have been in the safe.
And was it
So
your safe?
initially looking in the safe, yes, there would have appeared to have been missing, but located it on top of the safe and then on the dresser.
You don't recall telling the trooper that Ryan's guns were missing out of the gun safe?
No.
You don't recall it, or you didn't say that?
It was, like I said, it wasn't missing. It was on the dresser.
What gun are we talking about?
I believe it was a 357.
Is that a handgun?
Yes, ma'am.
But you and Ryan have matching handguns, correct?
No.
You don't recall telling the trooper about the matching handguns that you and Ryan both have?
Those are not, those were in the safe, yes.
But they were not in the safe.
The handguns that we have matching are not 357s. They were Colt 45s.
Okay. And so was Ryan's Colt 45 in the gun safe when you went with the trooper?
I don't recall them.
No further questions at this time.
You mentioned a 308 bolt action rifle in his car. Do you know anything about a 308 bolt action rifle?
It was in the safe. It was never in his car, Your Honor. Like I said, I did lie. I don't really recall a whole lot from that day. I will be honest. I am struggling.
I don't want to, I'll let them ask you questions.
Okay.
So the 308 bolt action was in the safe?
I don't recall, but I believe so. Yes, there was no weapons in the vehicles
How do you know that?
because the officer went through and checked and came back and stated that there was no weapons in any of the vehicles.
All right. But Ryan and one vehicle were in fact gone. Isn't that true?
When I came back with the officer, yes, Ryan wasn't there.
And the vehicle was gone,
Yes,
which was what?
that was his dad's truck.
What was it?
I don't know, it's a little truck with 4 doors.
All right, Mr. Moore, do you have questions you wish to ask?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Akers, taking you back to August 22nd of this year, did Ryan Swartz strangle you in any way?
No, he did not.
Did he put his arm or his hands or any type of device at all around your neck and try to choke you?
No, he did not.
Did he threaten you with any type of firearm, rifle, pistol, anything?
No, he did not.
Did he point a rifle or a pistol at you that day?
No, he did not.
Did he place you in fear at all with any type of firearm, a pistol, a rifle, anything?
No, he did not.
Now, Mr. Swartz wanted to leave you in the home, correct?
He just asked for me to leave, yes, because that is his home.
But then he left,
Yes, he left.
and he left with your child.
Yes.
Did that make you very upset?
Yes, that's the purpose of my call to the officer was to see if I couldn't get the children into my custody, but he said since the children were both ours, that was not an option.
Did he, on that day, was there any harmful or offensive contact or touching on his behalf towards you?
No, sir.
Did he threaten you with an immediate offensive contact, offensive or harmful contact or touching? Did he put you in fear of that?
No.
Now, the trooper said that he saw abrasions on your hand or hands and elbow and maybe some dirt on your bottom and your knees. What do you have to say about that?
When Ryan went to leave I attempted to jump into the back of his truck and almost made it, but fell, so it's all caused to myself by myself.
Now, you're not saying that he was trying to run you over, correct?
No, he was not. I ran down behind his vehicle and tried to jump into the back of his truck so that he couldn't leave.
Now, the trooper testified that he saw a red mark on your neck. I mean, what do you have to say about that?
I would say that's because when I'm nervous and I rub my neck like this.
So you think that you gave yourself that mark?
I didn't recall having any marks on my neck. He's the only one that would have seen that. I don't recall having any marks on my neck.
But it's your testimony today that you get flushed and you, as in like maybe a nervous tick, you rub your neck.
Yes.
You're all right. No further questions.
I've got a couple. Debbie, do you have any?
Just a few. Jenny, would it refresh your memory about what was said about the guns in the gun safe and what was in the gun safe if you were to watch the body cam footage of going through it?
I guess you could try. Like I said, the officers I told them I could go inside my home. They weren't supposed to follow me into my home. I told them I could step inside and check. So I didn't know that they were going to be following me into the home.
When there's guns and officers follow you into the home, they're not going to stand there and let you go in an open gun safe without them being nearby.
Right.
But that's a safety issue. But, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. For the record, this will be starting the video at 58:51 into the body cam video. Jenny, do you see the still shot?
Yes, I do.
And who is that on the left-hand side and where is that?
That looks like myself in our bedroom.
Okay.
Bullets, but there's 145.
You didn't grab that at all?
No.
Okay.
That was mine. We have matching, so I can't tell which.
Are any of these loaded?
That one should be. Get all. He's got all. This is empty. He took everything. He's got every gun. There's only one in here.
What, two? Is that small one?
Yeah,
Shotgun?
that's mine. That one's mine, and then that one over there is mine. So he's got all of them. Yep, he's got them all. They were here before he left.
How many does he have?
I'd say he's got a 357, 245.
257, hang on. 357 Magnum and 245.
He's got
You know,
a 1911 45 ACP Springfield.
long gun,
Yeah,
shotgun,
that's
pistol.
the automatic pistol. And then the other one's gonna look just like this one right here. It's gonna be a 45 Colt. Between mine and his name. They're either
These pistols.
This one's in my name, that's 38 special in my name, that 45.
Right, Your Honor, at this point, I don't see the relevance. I don't see the relevance of
Grab
this,
the
Your
right
Honor.
one, that's his. And then the 357 is in his name, the
She's
308 is
impeaching
in
her
his
own
name.
witness, and
I thought she was trying to refresh her memory.
Yes, and so this is refreshing a memory. So the objection at this point is overruled. We'll see where we go. Is there anything further from this, Deborah?
Just a little bit.
And the 45 call, that's the revolver?
Yeah.
Okay, what other gun does he have?
I
got
that
three.
should add him up. Well, he's got the 308, that's,
So he has 4.
yeah, the 308 is an AR.
What kind?
It's a bolt action. That's all I know about it. It's actually supposed to be.
Do you know make and model or?
I don't. He was just teaching me and stuff. Yeah, he emptied it out.
Okay. Just leave it there.
I'd rather put it someplace else.
May I ask you, would you have a problem giving these up for safekeeping while you guys are fighting? Figure out what's going on?
I'd rather not.
Ms. Akers, does that refresh your memory about what you said to the officers that day regarding the guns?
Yes,
And so you referred to the 308 as an AR assault rifle, correct?
yes, but that's, I believe, inaccurate. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
I don't think a bolt action is an AR. I'm not really sure, ma'am.
You opened the gun safe yourself, right?
That's correct.
Who else has the code to open that safe?
I'm not sure, ma'am. I know the code because my father-in-law had told me it before he passed, so I could get into it for him.
Isn't it
As
true
far
that
as I know-
Ryan
as far
has
as
the
I know,
code?
I'm the only one that knows it.
So it's your testimony that Ryan Swartz doesn't know the code to that safe?
I don't believe so. He's always had to ask.
And you placed that pink gun in the safe that day, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's our daughter's. So she has, I get it out for her and she puts it on top of the safe when she's done target shooting her target if she wants to. So, and I had forgot to put it away from the last time she had used it.
Okay. No further questions at this time.
I'm trying to get straight in my mind, at what point you tried to jump in the truck. Your testimony was that you walked down to the bottom of the hill, called 911.
Yes.
He was
sir.
up on the porch.
Yep.
And then you started to walk away. In my estimate, it's about 12 to 14 miles to town from there. But you were gonna walk all the way to town, or did you have a destination? in mind?
Like I said, I didn't really have a destination. We were trying to just disperse to diffuse the situation.
So at what point did you attempt to, so you're walking away to defuse the situation, but then at some point you tried to
I
jump in
came
the truck?
back, yes, I came back up the driveway to ask for, I said, can I at least get my shoes? And, you know, he threw them out into the driveway. He didn't actually throw them, like he wasn't throwing them at me. He was throwing them to me because I came up, asked for shoes. Then he got into his vehicle and headed down the driveway with, well, he obviously loaded up our son and to defuse the situation and started to leave and hollered out that I would never see the kids again. So it scared me and I attempted to jump into the back of the truck and fell.
What was he mad about in the first place?
Well, one is because we struggle with the fact that I started using drugs. And 2 was because he was upset because I went and started talking with his brother.
That's what started the whole argument.
Well, yes, but the fact that I was under the influence of methamphetamines and he, you know, didn't want me there because of that.
Anything further?
Um,
No, not from you. either of you.
Just briefly, Jenny, why did you call 911?
Asked and answered.
I would like
Because
some
he-
clarification.
I'll allow to answer.
Because he told me to leave and I wanted to take the child with me and he said, no, I could leave on my own because I needed to go and get myself right and I needed to get some mental help and some counseling and whatever, and that the kid, it was not, you know, in the kid's best interest to go with me, so we fought over that. I didn't want to leave because I wanted to, obviously my children, well, my son go with me and he wanted him to stay there because he felt that was in our child's best interest for him to stay there with him since the state that I'm been in.
Do you remember what you said to the 911 operator?
No, I don't.
Would it refresh your memory if I played the tape for you?
You can refresh my memory, ma'am, but like I said, I was under the influence of drugs and I don't really recall what I said.
Your Honor, I would ask to be permitted to play the audio recording of the 911 tape that was obtained by Trooper Liebrecht and provided to the prosecutor's office.
Your Honor,
All right,
guess I would-
we've got
I would
to
get-
know what it's for. If it's for substantive evidence as an excited utterance, which clearly it would be even more of an excited utterance than the first one, you need to lay a foundation for it. If it's simply to refresh your recollection, It's not substantive evidence, but I don't think she's gonna change her testimony. I think if you're gonna get it in, it needs to be substantive evidence under MRE 8032. Mr. Moore?
Yes, Your Honor, I objected. I didn't think you stated everything in advance.
All right.
And Your Honor, I would state that I've reviewed this. The defense has had this tape since the beginning. It is certainly an excited utterance while she's under the stress of the situation that is happening. It's present sense impression for kind of narrating what is going on during the call. So I believe that it fits under the exceptions. I can certainly get somebody from Central Dispatch to authenticate it. If necessary for this preliminary exam purpose, I would ask that it come in based on the reasons that I've given so far.
Then, Your Honor, I would object under MRE 403 because at this point it's duplicative. It's already been testified to by the trooper. We've already heard it, and this is just a needless waste of time.
Well, I disagree. It might be duplicative, but it's also indicative of the truth. There may be additional evidence on here in addition to what she told the trooper. If the affidavit is correct, he's also heard on the 911 tape in the background. I'm interested in hearing it, but my fear is we don't have a proper foundation for it. So it would be subject to foundational evidence from a 911 witness as to what it is. Subject to that, we may need further testimony. So it can be used to refresh your recollection, and if you lay a proper foundation, it can be used substantively.
Your Honor,
You might witch your staff to get somebody from 911 to zoom in here.
yes, give me one moment. I sent a message, but I don't think that they saw it. So give me one moment.
Well,
David?
are we going to get just someone or the actual operator that night, records keeper, all those things?
Well, probably the records keeper will probably gonna seek the 911 director. I don't know who she's got.
And is it possible to have a breakout room real quick with Ms. Davis, if she would like to?
Yes, Deborah, I'm gonna put you and David in a breakout room. We will wait here.
Sure, and we're getting Central Dispatch. They keep the records.
All right. Jenny, do you need to use the restroom or anything?
No, Your Honor, but
You need any water?
nothing.
All right,
If I could, I would like to make an apology to you for
All right, well,
not
just-
being here last week.
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Your Honor, is it possible for me to speak with my client privately? There may be a
Yes,
resolution, potentially.
I will ask the bailiff and the trooper to escort him to the Zoom room and wait outside the door.
Thank you.
In the meantime, we'll just wait. We're good at that.
Judges, I believe we have a resolution for the entire case.
All right, let's go back on. the record. In the meantime, the defendant had an opportunity to discuss things privately with his lawyer. Thank you for the breakout room. This is a bit of an unusual proceeding. We were doing things today, but because of the holiday and vacation schedule and other things, we ended up doing a hybrid presentation. Mr. Moore, what's our status here?
Yes, Your Honor, I had a chance to speak with Ms. Davis from the prosecutor's office. She made the following offer: she will dismiss the charges against Mr. Swartz, if you please, to 2 counts of domestic violence. He will have 769-4A treatment for both of these counts, and the balance of the charges will be dismissed.
The prosecution would have no objection to 769-4A.
Correct.
Well, I do. I guess we can. Miss Akers, you can go have a seat on the bench there. All right. Mr. Swartz, you're charged with assault with intent to commit great bodily harm, assault with a dangerous weapon, and domestic violence. The prosecutor has agreed to dismiss the assault with intent to commit great bodily harm, turn it into a domestic assault. Assault with a dangerous weapon would be dismissed, and the second count of domestic violence would be a misdemeanor. So there would be a plea to 2 counts of domestic assault. Those are misdemeanors punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Also, this goes without saying that they would not charge you with possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, which carries a mandatory minimum 2-year prison sentence. Do you understand?
Sir.
Did you have a chance to consult with your attorney regarding that?
Sir.
And are you going to plead guilty to those 2 charges?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions. You sat through this testimony, same as the rest of us, but did anyone promise you anything other than this very generous plea agreement to get you to plead to this charge
Yes, sir.
or threaten you?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you do plead to this charge, you will be giving up your right to have a trial? This preliminary examination was to determine whether there's probable cause to believe there's a crime. At a trial, you'd be entitled to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You're giving that up. You understand?
Yes, sir.
At a trial, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. Mr. Moore is here. You can also have had an attorney appointed if you had requested. At a trial, you'd have a right to take a witness stand yourself and testify and tell your side of the story. But you don't have to because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury cannot hold your silence against you. And you could, I said this already, you have a right to have any witnesses for or against you subpoenaed. And as I mentioned, you have the right to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt if they're able to do that. Do you understand all that?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're asking about 2 separate incidents where you assaulted your girlfriend, children, mother. On this day, August 22nd, were you guys together at the Cranberry Lake address?
Sir.
And did you and she get into an argument?
Yes, sir.
All right, did you put your hands on her?
I pushed her, yes, once, and she's right. I did reach the truck, window of the truck and pull her once.
All right, so you pushed her, did she fall down?
No,
Where did that pushing take place?
mid driveway, right to the gate.
And then you pulled her hair and yanked on it when she was in the truck.
Yes, sir.
Which truck was she in?
She was in the little truck to the left, end,
All right, which is what?
which is a 2004 GMC Canyon.
All right, and so that belongs to your father?
It belongs to me now. I bought that from the estate.
All right, but she was gonna leave in that truck and you didn't want her to?
She got in the truck because she was, because I was yelling and telling her to leave, get out the driveway.
How long have you lived together there?
We've lived together there since 2018. My dad recently passed in 2021, day after Thanksgiving.
You and I discussed that. You don't have a clear understanding of landlord-tenant law. She's not a piece of luggage that you just throw out and say leave. She's a lawful occupant and tenant of your house. You also don't have a very good understanding of child custody law. As the 2 of you are not married, she is presumed to have paramount custody of the children. So you're treating them like a pet and you're treating her like a piece of furniture that you could put out of the house when it was time to, when you felt like it was time to. So I'll accept your plea. Ms. Davis, does this encompass anything to do with the allegations that he tampered with a pending witness or obstructed justice?
No, that was not part of it, and we haven't decided on anything because nothing has been sent up yet. So I haven't seen the evidence.
This encompasses only the actions of August 22nd.
Correct.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right. All right. Are you satisfied with the factual basis, Deborah?
It's sufficient. Thank you.
Are you, Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Now, what the prosecutor said, and your lawyer said, is there's a section under the domestic violence law which would allow you to be placed on a probation. And if you successfully completed the probation, the charge would be taken off your record. And I can only do that if the prosecutor consents. You've been in jail now for 19 days, and then you did some days at the front end. So let's see how long you're in jail.
20 days, Your Honor.
You got arrested on the 26th of October, and you posted bond on November 4th. So that's 5 days in October. No, the bond was posted on the 27th, so you just did 1 day. So you're right, you've done 20 days. I believe everything that Jenni Akers said to the trooper at the scene. I believe everything you said right then and there was the truth. And it most generally is what is said closest in time to the facts. And I regret the fact that I believe you just committed perjury here in open court. But I wasn't there. But I believe you. And I believe everything you said. on August 22nd. I don't want to defer your sentence, and I don't want you on probation. I think you're manipulative and potentially dangerous, and you can all go home and look up gaslighting. He's telling you you're crazy and you need mental health treatment and you need to get your act together. Making all this somehow your fault. And then you hide from service, don't show up in court when you are actually served, and come here to court today and give what I believe to be false testimony, which puts the prosecutor in a very difficult position in attempting to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. So they took what they could get, which is 2 counts of 93 days in jail, credit 20. I don't want you on probation. I don't want this to be deferred. I want it to go on your record. So that's my sentence. I didn't give anybody opportunity for elocution, but it isn't going to change my mind. All right, now you'll get good time with that. 93 days minus good time. He has 20 days, so that's 73 days minus about another 30, meaning he has about another 40 days to do, unless they charge him with something else. All right, Mr. Swartz, you can go with the court officer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't leave yet. Ms. Swartz, or Ms. Akers, I want you to come back up here and have a seat right over here at the defense table. This is regarding the contempt of Jenni Akers. She failed to appear on a couple of occasions. On the first date, we were supposed to be here. She knew she was supposed to be here, but did not come, but she had not been served. She was supposed to be here on December 20th, and she was served, but did not appear. She was watching the live feed and called into the court, said she didn't like what was being said, and she didn't like the way she was treated. But she wasn't here, so I issued a bench warrant. So I'm going to recall the bench warrant. Before you were born, I used to be the county prosecutor for 23 years and handled hundreds of domestic violence cases. For a number of years, I was on the domestic violence, DASC, it was called Domestic Violence Assault Shelter, board of directors, for probably 10 or 12 years. A lot of training about prosecuting and understanding domestic violence. And then I've been a judge for 20 years, and I've seen a few hundred more domestic violence cases. When I started in 1980, this pains me to even say this, there was no right to make an arrest. Here's a history lesson for you on domestic. There was no such thing as domestic violence. It was called assault and battery. And a police officer couldn't make an arrest for a misdemeanor unless it was committed in their presence. So no one ever got arrested for domestic assault because it didn't happen with a police officer. And there was no place to go. There was no assault shelter. They would sometimes, the good cops would take people to their mom's house or get them out of the situation, but they couldn't make an arrest. And before my predecessor, Bob Akers, took over, they had a policy that they had a 10-day waiting period. They had the women wait 10 days and made them come in and sign the complaint. So nobody ever got prosecuted for beating their wife. There was no domestic violence. There was no right to arrest for a misdemeanor not committed in your presence. And they had this absurd policy where they made the women wait 10 days and then sign the warrant. You can imagine how that went. Nobody ever followed through. When my predecessor, Bob Akers, took over in 1981, he changed everything. And we had a policy in the early 80s that we didn't drop the charges. If the woman came in and asked us to drop the charges, we wouldn't do it. We would prosecute anyway, whether they agreed to or not. And I can't tell you how many times the women came up to me and said, because ultimately they would cave and plead. Then there was a lot of talk about proving the case without the complainant. The rules changed. They allowed arrest without being committed in your presence in a domestic violence situation. We had support services. We had this deferral law. I started the domestic violence treatment program when I was prosecutor, started the anger management program when I was prosecutor. Those things didn't exist. But what is the same is frightened, intimidated, beaten down women who accept that state and come to the aid of their abuser. So you were in contempt for not appearing, but I'm not going to further punish you for failing to appear. You were frightened. You didn't like the way you were treated at the prosecutor's office from what you left on the message. I don't know anything about that. But to put you in jail for being afraid to come here further punishes you. And I believe you got choked. I believe you got threatened with a gun. I believe he threatened to take your children. And I believe everything you told the officers that day was the truth. So I'm recalling the bench warrant, and I'm not going to pursue any further contempt. The prosecutor may choose to either charge you with filing a false police report or perjury. That's probably unlikely, but there's still the unresolved issue of these phone calls that he made in direct contradiction of my order to him. I don't know what they're going to do with that. You didn't want to hear the 911 tape because it was, I haven't heard it. I wanted to hear it because you would have known it was the truth. All right, the bench warrant for Jenni Akers is recalled. I'm not pursuing any further contempt. The other criminal charges regarding Mr. Swartz have been dismissed, and he's going to do the balance of 93 days minus good time. Ms. Akers, I'm not sure what is going to happen with your child custody and all those issues, whether you're going to live happily ever after or each go your different direction. Methamphetamine is not the answer to your question. All right, you're free to go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Judge.